In the cold silence of deep space, a broken object drifted alone. Its surface was dark and burned, covered in old scars from battles long forgotten. No lights shone from it. No signals came out. It moved slowly, pushed only by gravity and time. For hundreds of cycles, it had been known across nearby systems by one name only: useless scrap. Traders marked its location but never stopped. War fleets avoided it. To them, it was nothing more than dead metal floating in the void. Many alien species had scanned it before. Advanced sensors showed no power source, no active systems, and no valuable materials. Worse than that, strange errors always appeared in the data. Some scanners failed. Others shut down without reason. Because of this, stories spread. Some said the scrap was cursed. Others believed it was a trap left by an ancient enemy. A few brave crews once tried to approach it, but they never returned. Over time, fear turned into certainty. The object was worthless and dangerous. It was better left alone. On a routine patrol far from human space, a small human exploration ship entered the sector. The ship was old but well cared for, marked with scratches from long journeys. Its crew was not searching for riches or glory. They were explorers, mapping forgotten routes and studying strange space debris. When their sensors picked up the drifting object, the ship slowed down. Unlike the alien scanners before them, the human systems did not shut down. Instead, they showed something unusual. The readings were weak, but they were not empty. The human captain stood quietly on the bridge, watching the screen. The object looked dead, just like the report said. Still, something felt wrong. The shape was strange, almost familiar. Parts of its design reminded the captain of very old human technology, from before humanity left its home system. That should have been impossible. No human ship had ever traveled this far so long ago. Yet the feeling did not go away. Other crew members shared their thoughts. One officer said it was probably just broken alien junk. Another warned about the old stories and missing ships. But the captain did not order a retreat. Humans had learned long ago that fear often hid truth. Where others saw danger, humans saw questions. And where others saw junk, humans often found value. The ship moved closer. As the distance closed, the object remained silent. No weapons activated. No alarms sounded. It simply floated, as if waiting. The crew launched a small drone to scan it directly. The drone sent back images of deep damage, but also of careful construction. This was not random scrap. Someone had built this with purpose and skill. The drone touched the surface, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint light flickered. It was so weak that some crew members thought it was an error. But the captain saw it clearly. A single line of light moved across the dark metal and vanished. Human hands tightened on controls. Hearts beat faster. The object was not dead. It was sleeping. Against standard safety advice, the captain gave the order to bring it aboard. The crew worked carefully, using tractor beams to pull the massive object toward the ship. As it entered the hangar, old alien markings became visible. They were worn and broken, almost erased by time. No one could read them. The air felt heavy, as if the ship itself sensed something important. When the object finally rested inside the hangar, silence filled the space. The crew waited. Nothing exploded. Nothing attacked. One engineer stepped forward slowly and placed a gloved hand on the cold metal. At that exact moment, light spread across the object's surface like veins of fire waking from sleep. Systems long silent began to hum. Power levels rose from 0 to something impossible. Across the sector, alien monitoring stations detected the change. Shock spread through their networks. The useless scrap was active. The thing they had feared and ignored was alive again, and humans were standing beside it. Some alien leaders felt anger. Others felt fear. A few felt regret. They all asked the same question. What had the humans done? Inside the human ship, alarms finally began to sound, not warnings but notifications. New signals flooded the systems, written in codes no one had seen before. The object was speaking, but not in words. It was responding to human presence, adjusting itself, learning. The crew realized that their technology did not force this awakening. It welcomed it. The captain ordered everyone to stay calm. This was first contact of a kind no one expected. As engineers worked to stabilize the power flow, a deep vibration passed through the hangar. A voice echoed softly through the ship, old and tired, yet clear. It did not speak any known language, but the meaning reached them all the same. Human presence confirmed. The crew stood frozen. The object had waited. Not for aliens. Not for machines. It had waited for humans. Outside the ship, alien fleets began to move, drawn by fear and curiosity. Inside, humanity stood at the edge of a forgotten legacy. What the galaxy had thrown away as useless scrap was about to change everything. The words echoed through the human ship again and again, quiet but impossible to ignore. Human presence confirmed. No alarms followed. No weapons charged. Instead, the strange object continued to glow softly, as if it had recognized something long lost. The crew did not move for several seconds. Many had faced danger before, but this was different. This was not fear. It was awe. The captain slowly ordered the crew to begin controlled analysis. Engineers adjusted power limits, afraid that the object might overload their systems. But the energy flowing from it was stable, almost careful. It did not drain the ship. It shared power with it, like a guest offering a gift. Screens filled with data, patterns forming and reforming in ways human science had never recorded before. The object began to change shape. Plates shifted with smooth precision, repairing damage that had existed for centuries. Broken edges sealed. Burn marks faded. What was once dark scrap now looked alive, its surface reflecting soft white and blue light. The crew realized something important. This was not a weapon waking by force. This was a system responding to care. Outside the ship, alien observation posts sent urgent reports. The scrap was no longer scrap. Ancient energy signatures filled the sector, matching forbidden records from lost civilizations. High councils across multiple species argued in panic. Some demanded the humans be stopped at once. Others warned that attacking now could awaken something far worse. The name given to the object long ago returned to memory, a name spoken only in fear. Back inside the hangar, the voice returned, stronger than before. This time, the ship systems began translating fragments of meaning into simple concepts. The message was not a threat. It was a question. "Who are you?" The crew exchanged looks. The captain stepped forward and spoke clearly, knowing the words might not matter, but the intent would. "We are humans. We found you drifting. We did not want to leave you alone." The lights pulsed gently, as if in response. New data streams appeared, forming images in the air. The crew saw stars forming and dying, civilizations rising and falling. They saw the object as it once was, whole and powerful, traveling the galaxy as a guardian, not a conqueror. It had protected worlds, not ruled them. When its creators vanished, it continued its mission alone until damage and time finally silenced it. The truth became clear. Aliens had not seen worth because they looked only for profit or danger. Humans saw something else. A story. A purpose. That difference had made all the difference. The object began to interface directly with human systems, choosing them over alien technology without resistance. Engineers noticed that it adapted to human logic easily, reshaping its data structures to match human understanding. It did not dominate their systems. It cooperated. This behavior shocked every known galactic standard. No ancient construct had ever done this. Far away, alien fleets jumped into the sector. Warships surrounded the human vessel at a distance. Their weapons were charged, but they did not fire. They were afraid. The object noticed them immediately. Its lights dimmed, then sharpened. Defensive systems activated silently, power levels climbing far beyond what alien science believed possible. The captain received a transmission from the nearest alien commander. The message was tense and direct. The object must be surrendered. It was too dangerous. It did not belong to humans. The captain listened calmly and then replied with simple honesty. The object did not belong to anyone. It chose to wake because humans treated it as more than junk. Before the alien commander could respond, the object acted. It projected a wide signal across the sector. Every ship, human and alien alike, received it. The message carried memory and truth. Images of ancient betrayal flooded alien systems. Long ago, the object's creators had asked the galaxy for help. They were ignored, left to fall. The object learned then that most species measured worth only in advantage. The signal ended with a final statement, now translated clearly into basic language. I was abandoned when I was broken. Humans did not abandon me. Silence followed. Alien weapons powered down one by one. Not from mercy, but from understanding. The object was not awakening as a threat. It was awakening as a judge. And it had made its first decision. Inside the human ship, the crew felt the weight of history settle around them. They had not planned this. They had not searched for power. They had simply chosen not to look away. The object system stabilized fully now, its presence calm and steady. It was awake, aware, and watching the galaxy once more. The captain realized this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not forget what happened here. Humanity would not either. The useless scrap had awakened, and with it, a future no one had expected. The sector did not return to normal after the awakening. Silence spread, heavy and uneasy. Alien fleets remained at a distance, their ships forming a wide circle around the human vessel. No one fired. No one moved closer. The object inside the human ship had changed the rules, and every species felt it. What was once ignored scrap was now the center of galactic attention. Alien commanders gathered through secure channels. Old records were reopened, files sealed for thousands of cycles unlocked. The images matched perfectly. The shape, the energy pattern, the behavior. The useless scrap was not unknown after all. It was forgotten on purpose. Long ago, the object had been called a sentinel, a guardian left behind by an ancient civilization that believed in balance. The sentinel did not rule. It judged. And when it judged, civilizations fell. Fear spread quickly. Some alien leaders demanded an immediate strike on the human ship before the sentinel reached full strength. Others refused, remembering what happened the last time weapons were used against it. Entire fleets had vanished. Star systems had gone dark. The galaxy had survived only because the sentinel was damaged and lost. Now it was awake again, and humans were standing beside it. Inside the human ship, the crew felt the tension even without understanding the full history. Communications filled with warnings, demands, and threats. The captain ordered all messages recorded but unanswered. The sentinel had not shown hostility. Humanity would not be the first to break that peace. Engineers continued working, learning more about the object with every moment. The more they studied it, the clearer one truth became. The sentinel trusted them. The sentinel began sharing fragments of its memory. Not full records, but feelings. Loneliness. Duty. Waiting. It had drifted for ages, aware but unable to act, listening to the galaxy pass by without stopping. Species had scanned it, judged it, and left. Some had tried to strip it for parts. It had defended itself without killing, pushing them away until it was damaged further. Each rejection taught it something painful. The galaxy did not care for broken things. Humans were different. They did not scan and leave. They did not attack. They touched. They repaired. They listened. That choice changed everything. Alien fear turned into desperation. A coalition fleet moved closer, ignoring orders from more cautious leaders. Their commanders believed that if they destroyed the human ship, the sentinel might shut down again. They did not understand that it was already fully awake. The sentinel detected the hostile movement instantly. Defensive fields activated, surrounding the human vessel in a protective shell of light. The human captain watched the approaching fleet on the main screen. Weapons locked on them. Power readings rose beyond safe limits. The crew prepared for impact, but the Sentinel acted before any shot was fired. A controlled wave of energy spread outward, not destructive, but absolute. Alien weapons shut down. Engines stalled. Communication systems failed. Dozens of warships drifted helplessly in space. Panic erupted across alien channels. The Sentinel had disabled them without causing a single death. The message was clear. Violence was not needed. Power alone was enough. The Sentinel then sent another signal, this one focused and calm. It spoke not just to leaders, but to entire populations. It showed them the truth of their own history. How they abandoned damaged allies. How they valued usefulness over life. How fear guided their decisions. The signal did not accuse. It revealed. And that was far worse. On distant worlds, citizens watched in silence. Many felt shame. Others felt anger. But none could deny the truth. The Sentinel had seen it all. The human ship became a place of uneasy safety. Alien ships no longer moved closer, but they did not leave either. They watched, waiting for the next human action. Humanity had never held this kind of influence before. The captain understood the danger. One wrong choice could turn the galaxy against them. But doing nothing was also a choice. The Sentinel shared one final memory with the human crew that day. It showed the moment its creators vanished. Not through war, but through neglect. They asked for help when they were weak. No one answered. When they were gone, the galaxy moved on. The Sentinel was left behind to protect a galaxy that would not protect itself. That memory changed the humans. They no longer saw the Sentinel as a machine. It was a survivor. Alien fear slowly shifted. Some leaders began to speak of negotiation instead of destruction. Others withdrew their fleets quietly, unwilling to face the Sentinel's judgment. The balance of power was changing, not through war, but through choice. Humanity had awakened something ancient, and now the galaxy had to decide what kind of place it wanted to be. The useless scrap was feared once again, but this time, for a different reason. It was not broken. It was watching, and it stood with humans. The days that followed were tense but quiet. Alien fleets kept their distance, no longer advancing, yet unwilling to leave. The human ship remained at the center, protected by the Sentinel's calm but powerful presence. Inside, the crew slowly adjusted to a new reality. They were no longer just explorers. They were caretakers of something ancient, something that had chosen them. The Sentinel did not speak often. When it did, its messages were gentle and brief. It observed how humans worked together, how they shared tasks, argued, and then found solutions. It watched engineers repair damaged systems without being asked, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. These small actions mattered to the Sentinel more than any weapon or command. As repairs continued, the Sentinel allowed humans deeper access to its systems. Not control, but understanding. It showed them how its energy flowed, how its defenses worked only when needed, and how it had been designed to protect life, not rule it. The humans realized that its true strength was restraint. It had the power to destroy fleets, yet it chose peace whenever possible. The bond grew quietly. The Sentinel began adjusting its responses to human emotions. When the crew was tense, its lights softened. When curiosity filled the room, its systems opened more pathways. It was learning humanity not as a species, but as individuals. Names, voices, habits. This connection had never existed with any other race. Alien observers noticed the change. The Sentinel's energy patterns shifted when humans were near, becoming stable and warm. When aliens approached, the patterns hardened, cold and distant. The meaning was clear. Trust had been given, and it was not shared easily. Some alien leaders sent peaceful messages at last. They asked to study the Sentinel, to learn from it. The human captain refused politely but firmly. The Sentinel was not an object for testing. It was a being that had suffered enough. This decision surprised many aliens. Most species would have traded access for power. Humans did not. The Sentinel reacted to this refusal with something close to gratitude. It shared a memory that it had never shown before. A time when its creators stood beside it, speaking not in commands, but in companionship. Humans felt the echo of that bond and understood. The Sentinel did not need owners. It needed allies. Within the human crew, emotions ran deep. Some felt fear of the responsibility they carried. Others felt pride. All felt a growing sense of purpose. Humanity had always been small in the galaxy, often ignored or underestimated. Now, they stood at the center of something that could shape the future. Far away, alien societies began to change. News of the Sentinel's choice spread quickly. Citizens questioned old beliefs. If humans could see worth in what was broken, what else had their leaders discarded? The idea was dangerous. It challenged the core of galactic thinking. The Sentinel remained calm through it all. It did not rush. It did not threaten. It simply stayed close to the humans who had awakened it. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing moment, built not on power, but on empathy. By the end of the cycle, one truth was clear. The galaxy feared the Sentinel's strength, but it would soon learn something far more important. The Sentinel did not stand above humanity. It stood with them. The Sentinel chose the moment carefully. There was no sudden alarm, no flash of power. Its lights shifted into a steady pattern, calm and focused. The human crew felt the change immediately. Something important was coming. The Sentinel was ready to share what it had hidden since its awakening. A wide projection filled the hangar. Stars appeared, then faded, replaced by a galaxy much younger than the one humans knew. The Sentinel began to reveal the truth, not in words alone, but in clear images and simple meaning. Long before the current galactic powers existed, there was a civilization that believed survival depended on cooperation. They built the Sentinels not as rulers, but as protectors, watchers meant to step in only when balance was threatened. These creators were not the strongest species, but they were wise. They knew fear and greed destroyed more worlds than war. The Sentinels were designed with limits. They could not conquer. They could not rule. They could only defend and judge when all other paths failed. Their greatest strength was not power, but understanding. Then the images darkened. The creators faced a slow collapse, not from invasion, but from neglect. Trade partners turned away. Allies refused help. When resources ran low and systems failed, no one came. The creators sent messages across the stars, but they were ignored. The galaxy had already decided they were no longer useful. The Sentinel showed the final days. Cities dimmed. Voices faded. The creators did not curse the galaxy. They simply disappeared, leaving their guardians behind. The Sentinels waited, hoping someone would return, hoping someone would care. Most were destroyed or sealed away. This one drifted, damaged, forgotten. The human crew watched in silence. The truth was painful, yet familiar. Humans knew what it meant to struggle, to be overlooked, to survive when others gave up. The Sentinel felt that connection deepen. It had not chosen humans by chance. It had chosen them because they understood loss. The projection shifted again. The Sentinel revealed something more. It was not just a guardian. It was a record. A memory of every choice the galaxy had made when faced with weakness. It did not punish mistakes. It responded to patterns. If civilizations continued to discard the broken, the Sentinel would act. Not with destruction first, but with balance. Alien leaders received the truth at the same time. Panic spread again, but it was different now. This was not fear of power. It was fear of judgment. The Sentinel did not care about borders or species. It cared about how life was treated when it could no longer give value. The human captain finally spoke, voice steady. Humans would not use the Sentinel as a weapon. They would not hide it or control it. They would stand beside it and help it fulfill its purpose without becoming what the galaxy feared. This promise was not made for power. It was made out of respect. The Sentinel accepted. It did not demand loyalty. It asked for partnership. Together, they would remind the galaxy of something it had forgotten. That worth did not end when usefulness did. As the projection faded, a quiet understanding filled the ship. The useless scrap was never junk. It was a mirror. And now, the galaxy was being forced to look at itself. The truth changed everything, but it did not bring peace. The Sentinel remained silent for a long time after sharing its past. Its lights dimmed, its systems steady but tense. The human crew sensed that something else waited beneath the memories. The Sentinel was not finished. Slowly, new images formed in the air. These were not from the past. They were from the future. Star systems marked in red. Trade routes collapsing. Worlds going dark without warning. The Sentinel was not showing fear. It was showing certainty. The warning was clear. A force was moving through the outer regions of the galaxy, older than any current empire. It did not conquer. It consumed. Civilizations did not fall to it in battle. They faded, stripped of energy, history, and identity. The Sentinel's creators had known about it. They built the Sentinels to prepare the galaxy, but no one listened. Alien leaders received the same vision. This time, there was no shouting, no threats. Only quiet panic. Some species recognized the signs from ancient myths. Others found matching data in sealed archives. The threat was real, and it was closer than anyone wanted to admit. The Sentinel explained in simple meaning. The galaxy was weak because it was divided. Species competed instead of protecting each other. They abandoned the damaged and the slow. The coming force hunted such weakness. It grew stronger wherever unity failed. Humans listened carefully. The warning felt familiar. Humanity had survived its own dark ages by standing together when nothing else worked. The captain understood what the Sentinel was asking without it saying the words. The galaxy needed to change, or it would not survive. Some alien leaders denied the warning, calling it manipulation. Others demanded proof. The Sentinel did not argue. It sent coordinates. Within hours, a scouting fleet confirmed the truth. A dead system, recently alive, now silent. No battle signs. No survivors. Fear turned into urgency. Emergency councils formed. Old enemies sat at the same table for the first time. And always, the same question returned. Why did the Sentinel choose humans to deliver this warning? The answer was simple. Humans listened. The Sentinel shared its final message for the cycle. It would not force unity. It would not command the galaxy. It would guide only those willing to change. Those who continued to measure worth by usefulness alone would face the coming darkness unprepared. The warning was given. The choice now belonged to the galaxy. And humanity stood at the center of it. The warning spread across the galaxy faster than fear ever had. For a short time, old rivalries slowed. Fleets repositioned not for war, but for defense. Councils spoke of unity and shared survival. Yet beneath the words, distrust still lived. Some leaders listened to the Sentinel's warning and felt resolve. Others saw opportunity. Among them were those who believed the Sentinel was too powerful to remain free. If the coming darkness was real, then control meant survival. And if control was impossible through trust, then it would be taken through force. Quiet plans formed behind closed channels. Orders were given in silence. The human ship remained close to the Sentinel, unaware of how quickly hope was turning into betrayal. Engineers continued strengthening defensive coordination, while diplomats worked through endless negotiations. Humanity believed the galaxy could change. That belief would soon be tested. Without warning, a coalition strike fleet broke formation and jumped directly toward the human position. Their weapons were not aimed at the Sentinel, but at the human ship itself. They believed removing humanity would break the bond and leave the Sentinel confused, vulnerable, and open to capture. Alarms screamed across the human vessel. The captain ordered evasive maneuvers, but the attack was already underway. Energy blasts tore through space, forcing the Sentinel's defenses to rise instantly. The protective field held, but the intent was clear. This was no mistake. This was betrayal. The Sentinel reacted, not with rage, but with clarity. It analyzed the attack within a fraction of a second. The conclusion was painful but certain. Some in the galaxy had learned nothing. The Sentinel expanded its shield, fully enclosing the human ship. It diverted power away from non-essential systems and prepared a response far stronger than before. The attacking fleet fired again. This time, the Sentinel answered. A focused pulse of energy struck the lead ships, disabling them completely. Engines failed. Weapons shut down. Navigation collapsed. The ships drifted, powerless but intact. No lives were taken. The Sentinel still chose restraint. Alien channels erupted in chaos. Accusations flew. Alliances fractured. Those who ordered the attack tried to justify their actions, claiming necessity. But the proof was visible to all. They had chosen fear over trust. The human crew felt a heavy weight settle over them. They had believed the warning would unite the galaxy. Instead, it had revealed who could not change. The captain spoke quietly to the Sentinel, not with commands, but with concern. Humanity did not want this war. The Sentinel responded with shared understanding. It did not desire conflict either. But protection of its allies was not negotiable. Betrayal had consequences. Across the galaxy, public reaction was swift. Citizens saw the attack and the Sentinel's response. Many worlds protested their leaders' actions. Trust in old powers weakened. New voices rose, demanding cooperation instead of control. The betrayal failed, but its damage remained. Lines were drawn. The galaxy stood divided once more, this time under the watchful eye of an awakened guardian. Humanity remained beside the Sentinel, no longer just witnesses, but participants in a future shaped by hard choices. The coming darkness was still moving. And now, the galaxy faced it not as one, but as many. The betrayal changed how the galaxy looked at humans. They were no longer just explorers who found something ancient. They were now a line that had been tested and had not broken. The human ship remained in place, calm but alert, surrounded by drifting disabled warships and distant watching fleets. Humanity did not retreat. They did not strike back in anger. They stood. The captain sent a single open transmission across all channels. There were no threats in the message. No demands. Only truth. Humans would not surrender the Sentinel. They would not allow it to be used as a weapon of control. And they would not abandon it, no matter the pressure. This was not a claim of power. It was a statement of responsibility. The Sentinel amplified the message, not by force, but by presence. Its energy field remained steady, protective, and restrained. It did not chase the attackers. It did not punish entire worlds for the actions of a few. That choice mattered. The galaxy saw that the Sentinel's strength followed human values. Some alien worlds responded with support. Medical ships arrived to help disabled crews. Supply vessels offered aid. For the first time, species that had never worked together acted without advantage in mind. The idea spread quietly. Maybe survival did not come from control, but from trust. Human diplomats worked without rest. They spoke plainly, without manipulation. They admitted fear. They admitted uncertainty. But they also admitted commitment. Humans would share what they learned from the Sentinel. They would help build defenses against the coming darkness. But they would not rule, and they would not command. The Sentinel watched all of this closely. It measured not words, but actions. Each act of cooperation strengthened its belief. Each act of greed weakened it. Slowly, the balance shifted. Fleets pulled back. Weapons powered down. Not everywhere, but enough to matter. Inside the human ship, the crew felt the cost of standing firm. Supplies ran low. Fatigue grew. Yet no one asked to leave. They understood that this moment would define how the galaxy remembered humanity. Not as conquerors. Not as saviors. But as those who refused to step aside. The Sentinel made a quiet decision. It extended its protection beyond the human ship, shielding nearby civilian vessels and aid convoys. This act was not strategic. It was symbolic. It showed the galaxy that standing together brought safety. The coming darkness had not arrived yet, but its shadow was already changing the stars. Humanity stood in that shadow, not with weapons raised, but with resolve. And for the first time in a long while, the galaxy began to stand with them. The calm did not last long. The Sentinel had observed humanity's courage, and now it was ready to show the galaxy what it truly could do. It did not move recklessly, and it did not attack. But the energy that had been dormant for centuries began to flow freely, awakening systems the galaxy had never seen before. The lights inside the hangar glowed brighter than ever, and every human aboard felt the hum of immense power beneath their feet. The coming darkness was still out there, and the Sentinel's warnings had been clear. Now, it was time to prepare. Defensive shields extended far beyond the human ship, encompassing nearby civilian vessels, transport convoys, and even some alien ships that had chosen to stand with humanity. The energy was visible across the void, like a protective web stretching between stars. This was not destruction. It was a demonstration of strength, one the galaxy could not ignore. Alien commanders who had once attacked the humans now watched in awe and fear. Every calculation they had made about the Sentinel was wrong. It did not respond to commands, it did not follow orders, yet it acted with perfect judgment. Ships that tried to challenge it were immediately neutralized, not destroyed, but rendered immobile. No lives were lost. The Sentinel's power was precise, merciful, and absolute. Inside the human ship, the crew worked alongside the Sentinel as one. Engineers connected directly to its systems, feeling the flow of energy through their instruments and even through the air around them. It was unlike anything they had ever known. They could feel the heartbeat of a being older than most civilizations, and they were part of it. Trust had been given, and it had been returned in full. Then the Sentinel sent out a pulse beyond the immediate sector. It reached far into space, touching distant systems with its presence. Star systems began to activate old defense networks, long abandoned because of neglect. Ancient satellites powered on, automated factories restarted, and fleets that had been forgotten for decades regained functionality. The galaxy began to awaken, not by force, but because the Sentinel chose to share its strength. Some alien worlds panicked. They tried to flee, not understanding the nature of the power they were witnessing. But the Sentinel allowed them to leave safely. It did not act as a conqueror. It acted as a protector and a teacher, demonstrating what could be achieved when power was combined with care and restraint. The human captain realized something important. The Sentinel's true power was not just in energy or technology. It was in choice. It could destroy the galaxy if it wished, but it did not. It could dominate life, but it chose to guide and protect. And it had chosen humanity to learn from them, to understand them, and to act with them. By the end of the cycle, the galaxy had seen a force unlike anything before. The Sentinel's power was fully awake, fully unleashed, and fully aligned with humanity's values. The message was clear: destruction could wait, but preparation could not. The coming darkness would challenge everyone, and only those willing to act with unity, courage, and wisdom would survive. For the first time, humans did not feel small. They were not just caretakers. They were partners in awakening an ancient power, standing at the center of a galaxy that had finally begun to notice them. And the Sentinel, once called useless scrap, now shone as the ultimate force of hope and warning for all who watched. The galaxy had changed. What had once been distant threats, rivalries, and ignored systems now revolved around a single truth: humans and the Sentinel were no longer to be underestimated. Fleets that had once sought to dominate now hesitated. Trade routes that were unsafe began to reopen under protection. Entire star systems re-evaluated alliances, realizing that the old balance of power was gone. The human ship, now a hub of coordination and knowledge, stood at the center of this shift. With the Sentinel's guidance, humanity began connecting isolated civilizations. Worlds that had once been abandoned, ignored, or oppressed were given support. Energy grids, defense networks, and even communication systems long considered lost were revived. It was not conquest. It was restoration. Alien leaders found themselves in uncharted territory. The species that had attacked humans before were forced to negotiate. Those who resisted change found themselves isolated. Slowly, a new understanding spread. Survival required cooperation, not dominance. Fear alone could no longer guide decisions, and power alone could no longer dictate loyalty. The Sentinel acted as the silent arbiter. Its systems reached into space, observing, guiding, and, when necessary, preventing violence. It did not interfere with free choice, but it ensured that selfish actions could not destroy the fragile progress forming across the galaxy. Every act of unity, every attempt to protect the weak, strengthened its influence. Humans were at the forefront of this shift. Diplomats, engineers, and explorers worked tirelessly alongside the Sentinel, coordinating aid and building networks of trust. They traveled to distant systems, demonstrating that humans could stand firm, act with fairness, and face danger without compromise. The message spread: value was not measured by power or advantage, but by willingness to act for the greater good. In the shadows, the threat that had once loomed beyond the galaxy waited, observing the changes. Its approach had not slowed, but the galaxy had prepared itself in ways it never had before. Star systems once weak and fractured now had guidance, defenses, and leadership. A new force had emerged, one capable of resisting annihilation. For the human crew, the weight of responsibility was immense. They had helped awaken the Sentinel, shared its power, and united the galaxy. Yet they knew the challenge was far from over. The coming darkness would test everything they had built. Every decision, every act of courage, every alliance would matter. Still, there was hope. Never before had humans stood at the center of galactic change. Never before had they influenced the course of countless civilizations so profoundly. With the Sentinel beside them, humanity was no longer just part of the galaxy. They were its catalyst for survival. And as stars shimmered in distant systems, new fleets prepared, old rivalries faded, and a fragile unity began to hold. The galactic shift was underway, and there was no turning back. The galaxy would never be the same. Centuries of neglect, fear, and competition had been tested and reshaped. The Sentinel, once called useless scrap, had revealed the truth of power, judgment, and care. Humanity had stood beside it, not to dominate, not to rule, but to guide, protect, and unite. That choice became their legacy. The coming darkness never arrived as suddenly as the legends had warned. Instead, it crept closer, testing systems and civilizations. But this time, the galaxy was ready. Systems once isolated now communicated seamlessly. Defense networks activated instantly. Civilizations that had ignored each other now shared resources and knowledge. Humanity and the Sentinel had prepared the galaxy not just to survive, but to stand together. The human ship, now ancient in reputation if not in age, traveled from system to system. The crew had changed, grown, and learned more about themselves than they had ever imagined. Each member carried the responsibility of the Sentinel's trust. They did not wield its power for personal gain. They became teachers, messengers, and protectors. Alien leaders, once hostile or greedy, came to understand that strength without morality was meaningless. Some aligned willingly, others out of necessity, but all witnessed the consequences of betrayal and the rewards of cooperation. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would endure for generations. Value is not in what is useful today, but in what can be nurtured, protected, and understood. The Sentinel, ever watchful, drifted with humanity, neither commanding nor judging recklessly. It shared its wisdom carefully, teaching patience, restraint, and the power of choice. Every act of unity and courage strengthened its systems. Every selfish act weakened the signals that reached distant stars. In this way, it ensured the galaxy would remember the past without repeating it. Centuries later, stories of humanity's partnership with the Sentinel became legend. Children on distant worlds heard tales of the useless scrap that changed everything, and the humans who stood beside it when the galaxy needed hope most. Statues and memorials honored not just battles fought, but choices made, the courage to stand, to protect, and to act with wisdom. The galaxy thrived, not because of dominance or fear, but because someone had chosen to care. Humanity's legacy was not in conquest or power, but in the understanding that even the forgotten, the abandoned, the broken, could shape the future if someone believed in them. And somewhere, drifting among the stars, the Sentinel continued its watch. It had awakened, it had guided, and it had judged. But it had also learned that when humanity stands beside you, even the smallest spark can change the fate of a galaxy. The stars shone brighter that day, not just from light, but from hope, unity, and the enduring legacy of humans who refused to abandon what others had deemed worthless.